Hi, friends, and welcome to the Legacy Parenting Podcast. I'm Lori Lane, and today we're diving into one of the most urgent conversations facing families today, and that is not an exaggeration. We're talking about social media, technology, and the discipleship of your child's heart. Now, before you hit pause or think this episode is going to tell me to throw away the iPad and move to the mountains, I want you to hear this. This isn't an anti tech conversation. It's a heart conversation. Because beside every tap, scroll, click, and binge, there's a message being absorbed. And if we're not intentional, technology will disciple our children faster than we do. So let me paint you a picture. Your toddler taps on a cartoon while you're making dinner. Seems harmless, right? Your 12-year-old scrolls YouTube shorts before bed, just 10 minutes, that turns into 45. Your teen, they're just checking Snapchat, but you've noticed their mood shifts afterwards. Their shoulders slump, they seem anxious and easily frustrated. Maybe you've even felt it yourself. You open your phone to check one thing, and the next thing you know, 30 minutes have disappeared, and your heart feels no more rested. So the question is this: what is technology really doing to us and to our children? And as parents, how do we lead with clarity, not just control? How do we lead with truth and not just tech rules? And how do we teach with discipleship and not just digital boundaries? Well, let's start with what we know about what screens are really doing. Statistically, over 95% of teens use social media, and nearly half are online almost constantly. Kids as young as 8 are spending 5 to 6 hours a day on screens, and toddlers are learning to swipe before they learn to speak in full sentences. But here's what's more important than the data: screens don't just affect behavior, they shape belief. They don't just keep our kids busy, they teach them what to love and what to fear, what to strive for, and what to believe about themselves. So every game, video, or post carries a worldview, and it disciples attention, affection, and identity. And we're seeing that fruit because children with heavy screen use are 2 to 3 times more likely to report depression and anxiety. Elementary age kids are showing early symptoms of digital addiction, and even toddlers are being impacted. Studies show that each 30-minute increase in screen time is linked to significant speech and emotional delays. But maybe the biggest red flag? What screens speak louder than we do? It's because they're speaking for parents. And for many parents, they're speaking louder than the parents do. And that's already happened. This is why legacy parenting doesn't approach this as a tech or behavior problem. We're approaching it as a discipleship issue. Because the Bible tells us in Proverbs 4:23, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. And in Deuteronomy 6, God commands parents to teach their children when they sit, and when they walk, and when they lie down, and when they rise up. That's relational. It's rhythmic, and it's intentional. It's not flashy, but it's faithful. And here's the challenge: screens are interrupting those rhythms, they're disrupting those relationships. They're replacing eye contact, silencing dinner conversations, shortening attention spans, and even more dangerously, they're presenting distorted messages about identity, sexuality, success, and self worth. And that's why we say that screens don't just affect what your child sees, they're shaping what your child becomes. And here's where it gets really personal. What our child consumes when they're young becomes what they crave when they become older. So the battle isn't just about limiting time, it's about shaping their desires. We don't just want our kids to have fewer screen hours. We want them to grow in wisdom and in discernment and in a deep love for what is good, beautiful, and true. So, what does this look like practically? Well, here are a few small but powerful things you can begin doing today. Reclaim tech free zones. Make dinner, the car, or bedtime holy ground, not for preaching, but for presence. Ask real questions during those times and invite your child's thoughts and show them that their voice really matters. Number 2, use screens as a tool, not a reward. Instead of, you can have your screen if you behave, shift to, we'll use screens in a way that honors God and builds our hearts. Number 3, ask better questions, not just, what are you watching, but what is the show that you're watching teaching you about who you are? And how do you think this lines up with what God says about you? Even a 5-year-old can start learning discernment. And number 4, and most importantly, model it yourself. If we're constantly checking our phones, we're discipling distraction. But if our kids see us reading the Word, looking them in the eyes, resting without devices, that disciples them too. So let me speak directly to your heart for a moment. Remember, your child is not a performer. They are not a consumer. They're not defined by likes, followers, views, or trends. They are an image bearer of the living God. Genesis 1:27 reminds us that they are created, not curated, created. They are not building an identity, they've been given one by God Himself. And when we are parenting them with that truth as our lens, everything shifts. We stop parenting out of fear and start parenting by faith. And we begin to focus less on performance and more on their heart. We realize that faithful discipleship in the home isn't flashy, but it's how we build a legacy. Now, if this conversation stirred something inside of you, and I hope it did, I want to invite you to go deeper with me on this. On Thursday, July the 17th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, I'll be hosting the very first session of our free Legacy Discipleship Circles. This one is focused on social media, technology, and the battle for the heart. It's free, it's live, and it's a space where we gather not just to learn, but to grow together as parents anchored in biblical truth. In this session, you're going to receive a biblical framework for understanding media through the lens of the gospel, practical tools for every stage from toddlers to teens, family discipleship strategies that work in the real world, and encouragement. Encouragement for your weary heart because you are not in this alone. And if you can't make it live, a replay will be sent to you, but only if you register. So be sure to check out the show notes for the podcast and click on the link to reserve your spot, because parenting in the digital age doesn't have to feel like survival, and you don't have to feel isolated. It can be purposeful, peaceful, and full of truth. So parents, remember, you don't have to parent perfectly, but you do need to be faithful. And when you root your parenting in God's word and disciple the heart and reclaim your home as a place of truth and peace, that is where and when legacy is built. And we'd love to walk with you through it. I hope to see you on July 17th.